Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to do a ball bounce walkthrough. It's going to be something simple, easy to follow along, and I hope you enjoy it. This is an example of the ball bounce that we are going to do. Okay, so here we are in Maya. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're actually animating in the proper way. So you want to go to your system preferences, which you can get to right here with this little running guy and this gearbox. You click on that, and this pops up. And these are all different types of menus. So if you click on them, you can change all these different types of setting based on what they are. Okay. So in your animation settings, you want to make sure that you have weighted tangents and everything else is on auto span auto span legacy. Okay. For this tab or menu set. Everything else is fine. You can also have the auto key turned on as well. Then you go to the time slider. This is where we really make sure that we're on the right settings. You want to make sure that you have the frame rate of 24 frames per second, and then that your playback speed is also 24 frames per second times 1. And this is what your playback speed should be at, right? I'm going to make my tick sizes right here, my key tick sizes to 2. And then I'm also going to change my update view. My update view is whenever I hit play over here, all my views will update and it will play the animation. It won't just be in the active view, it'll be in all of them. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit save. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my view or my 4-view side just so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to give myself a ground to bounce a ball off of. So I'm going to make a cube. And I am going to scale the X and the Z only. So that it is large enough that when we go to bounce it across the side here, it actually has a width. I'm also going to change the coloring of it. So I'm going to right click, assign new material, change, or pick a Lambert, make it black. Or not black, maybe a dark charcoal color. Right about there, that's good. Okay. And then I want this to be on its own layer. I don't want to accidentally select it. So I'm going to select ground. But before I put it on the layer, I want to make sure that I drop it down half a movement or half a number so that it is, make sure you're on negative there. Negative 0.5 because this is 1 unit high. The center pivot is in the center of the object. So we want that to move down a half of a unit, which if you look at this right here, you can see this dark line, that's the 0 line, which means that the top of this is sitting right on that 0 line, which is exactly what we want. Okay. Go. All right. Now I'm going to make sure that I have that selected and I'm going to put this on its own layer. I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to name this ground. Change it whatever color I want. If I want to change it to a color, I'll change it to this baby blue color right Okay, so now inside my display layers, you have ground layer. One of the things I want to do is I want to change it to a reference. This third box right here starts off as being nothing, which means that you can select it. Okay. Click it once, it changes it to a template, or it changes it to a T. It means template. You can't select it, but you can't really see it very well either. Change it to a reference, you can see it in the way it actually is, and you can't select it. And that's what we want. Okay. Then let's make a ball that we want to actually animate. Okay. So the first thing you do, go up here, create polygon primitives, create a sphere. I'm not going to change the sphere at all. I am going to move it up to what size it is. Go here. It's a radius of 1. Okay. So I am going to move the ball up 1. So the center pivot is sitting at that 1 spot. Now, when we're going to animate, we're going to be bouncing this ball up and down. We don't want to have to keep putting the ball at 1 and remembering to put it at 1. So what I do is I go to modify and freeze transformations. If you watch over here, this is all going to change to 0. Changes it to 0. It basically zeroes out everything, and then this is now it's 0, 0, 0 mark. Okay. And then we are going to get going. I'm going to do a very generic ball bounce, but it's the concept that you're supposed to be getting out of this. So I'm going to go to my front view. And on my first frame, frame 0, I actually want this to be on frame 1. So I'm going to move my slider over so I don't see frame 0. Okay, on frame 0. In the Y translation only is what I'm moving. And I'm going to move this up to like, I like using like easy numbers to remember. So I'm just going to do it at 20. Okay. Then I'm going to right click on that actual channel. Key selected. I only want a keyframe on the Y translation at this moment. And I'm going to go down to frame 10. I'm going to make it 0. And because I have the auto keying on, it automatically puts a keyframe down in the timeline. Make sure you move over as many frames as you need. I'm going to move over 9 frames, and I'm going to change this to 17. Okay, then I'm going to move over 9 frames. Change 1. And then I'm going to go 8 frames. Change it to 15. To 14. 14. And then go 8 frames over. So that's 36. So 44. If I can get there. There we are. And that is 0. And as you see, you can see the ball going up and down every time I'm putting it in the channel box, which is fine because all I'm doing is I'm just setting keyframes for right now. And if you also notice, I keep lowering the number of frames, but I'm only lowering the number of frames between each action. So if it takes 10 frames to come down on the first one and it loses power, you don't want it to take 10 frames to come back up. That only works on the first one. The rest of them, if it takes 9 frames to come up, it should, or hit the ground, it should take 9 frames to come up. And then as you go on, you'll see how it deflates downward. All right, so that's 8 frames. This is 8 frames. Now we're going to do 7 frames. 14 to 11. 7 frames. 0 and 6 frames. 8. 6 frames. 0. 5 frames. 2, so 77 frames. I just wanted to make sure what number I was on. All right, then we're going to go 5. Okay, then 85. 0. 4 frames. 4. Frames. 0. 3 frames. And then now under here, everything's going to be on 3 frames. 2. Frame. 0. 3 frames. 4. 0. And all this is going to be adjusted as we go through it in the graph editor. There. 1. And we'll go 0.2. Let's go 0.3. Yeah, point. And that'll be the last bounce. 3 frame. 0. All right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to play this and we're going to see it's going to be really wishy-washy and floaty. Okay. Okay. So as you can tell, I'm going to scrub this down real quick. Not waiting for it to go through those whole 200 frames. I just resized my timeline, or the work area of my timeline. Let's hit that again. Yeah, see, it dies off a little bit too quick, but we could fix that in the graph editor. So let's go up to the graph editor. Graph editor is right here. Under animation editors, Windows, animation editors, graph editor. Okay. And what's really cool about the Y translate is this kind of looks like a ball bounce already, right? One of the things that I could tell you right now, this one right here needs to be lowered about right there, and then this one needs to be lowered. So basically, a good rule of thought is a ball bounce kind of has a downward slope. Obviously, the energy deteriorates through the bounces, I'm going to zoom in on this real quick. Yeah, those are too close to each other. And what I'm doing is to make sure that I'm locking it into the way that I'm actually going is I am holding the shift button down as I am selecting stuff. I only want one. And the way the energy actually deteriorates is a lot. So it should be almost like 3/4. Highlight everything, hit F to frame everything. Okay. So it should be 3/4, and this is kind of still linear, right? And really what it should be is like a curved line like coming down. So I need to lower down a little bit more. Okay. So that looks more of like a real deterioration of energy for a just a generic ball bounce. But one of the things that we don't have right now is the actual weight of the ball. So the first thing you want to do is you want to kind of flatten everything out. So you highlight all the keys and you want to have them all flat to make sure, right? Then what you want to do is you want to take all of the bottom keys, the ones that are on 0, deselect. Want to have that one selected. So deselect that. That. Okay. And you want to break these tangents. Breaking the tangents allows you to adjust the breaking the tangents, right? Allows you to adjust the angle of these green lines, right? The green lines are really the action over time keys, right? So we break them all, which allows me to grab every single one of these and bring them up like that. Okay. And every single one of these, bring them up like this. And what this is telling the computer is the ball comes down, it's coming down fast, and then bounces right back off the ground. So let's see what this looks like inside Maya. Back to 0. Boing, 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 boing. Okay. So the last couple of bounces, I could probably take out a bounce or two and lower the last two, but I'll fix that a little bit later. Because the next thing we got to do is we got to add the weight. So to do that is to highlight everything, hit F or yeah, F to frame it all in. Okay, so on a ball bounce, right? These are the tangents need to be shaped like parabolas, which is kind of like a bell. Right now they're shaped more like bullets. They're a little steep. So grab both of these tops, hold down shift so I'm only pulling sideways. What this is doing is it's telling the computer add more time, slow down the speed of the action right here, let it kind of favor this keyframe on the way in of the keyframe and on the way out of it. Select all of these. I have to fix the end a lot. What gives the ball its floatiness. But as you can tell, some of these lines are kind of wonky now, and that's because I did everything at once instead of. I'm going to take this keyframe out. I'm just going to basically take this bounce out. Flatten both of these. Back. Bring this one. But no, way too deep. Right, and the real thought, the ball. There we go. Ball is going to follow this line. Okay. And you always want the ball to have less power on the bounce than it does coming into the bounce. It'll make more sense here in a minute whenever I show you the bounce. Gets to this point, I always do rule of thought, or not rule of thought, rule of thumb. I will actually lower this. So it takes a second to leave bounce. Oh, got all crazy. Didn't want to break the tangent. Well, or the tangent handle, I line up with tangent itself on the way in, and then I lower it a little bit on the way out. Most of my bounces. It looks like some of these didn't, like they got reattached, being connected. Shouldn't be doing. And other people, they'll tell you to bring the tangents all the way into the keyframe. And I find that relying too much on the computer to do it for you. I rather have control of my ball bounces. Then I know exactly what's happening. And it's really funny because when we get to the rotation or the the translation from the left of the screen to the right of the screen, what's really cool is you'll actually see it. You'll actually see it. The ball will bounce pretty much looking like that. All right, so let's see what this looks like. There we go. Yeah, it floats a little bit too much on that one. That one, right. How many frames is it? Fine. Yeah, fine. Click. This one's long. I'll even lower this even more. Or it barely leaves that. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Even the ground weird. Yeah. Okay. Same bounce. It's like slowing out of that bounce. So I gotta fix that. There is a bounce somewhere. A little bit too. Yeah, it's this one right here. See how far it is off of that? Go like this. The only thing is when you adjust the top of the bounce, you're always gonna have to adjust the top of the arc. You always have to adjust the bounce on the bottom. Those. There we go. That. Right. Still doing it. Okay. So bounce right here. So I'm gonna look at this up close. This is that's only supposed to be, I don't know why I got extra frames there. The one after that. That 8 or 9. My math was wrong. My math was wrong. Which is understandable. It comes wrong all the time. So if you hold down the Alt key and use your greater than or less than or your comma and period keys on your keyboard, you can toggle through your keyframes or toggle through the frames themselves. If you just use the comma and period, you go through each keyframe. So let me count this real quick. That's where it's supposed to be. What's really cool is I can grab everything from here this way, and I hold down the shift. Go, go like that. Okay, now, yeah, that looks a little cleaner. Okay, here's a little bit let's see what that looks like. There we go. Not bad. Pretty good. Um, you might want to die off a little bit more from it, but it's all right. Put a keyframe there just so it's pinned down like that. Okay. Now that we got the bounce looking pretty good, let's do the translation from in the front view, right? Do from left to right, screen left to screen right. Right? So I'm going to grab my sphere. I'm going to move it. You can either start it behind the bar or the ground, right? I'm going to right click on Translate X, make key selected. Then I'm going to go over to frame. Say it bounces. I'm going to go to frame 110. Okay. I am in weird mode. Always great. Going over up right about here. See how that looks. Now, if you notice, it's starting off really, uh, it's starting off really slow, and we'll have to fix that. How you fix that is by this right here. You want it to be a constant moving off the get go. You want it to have any slow in at all, slow out. You want it to be constant. It's got thrown or bounced off the wall or whatever, but it has most momentum here than it does towards the end. That looks like. Fall down is too quick. So go here. And right. Yep. 10 frames. Yep. And that's what. Okay. Too steep. Oh, like there we go. Not bad, but it allows you to get the idea of it. Okay. Check the pencil there real quick. Okay. Yeah. Pencil right now. Tool. This like this. My tool settings. Go. Why I got a keyframe there. Okay. Okay, so we got all these keyframes. We sorted them out. Okay. Oop. There we go. Try it one more time. Let's just look. There we go. Okay. So one of the ways that you can check your motion is you use the trajectory, right? So this is actually the trajectory of ball bounce, which lets you know that probably this frame right here, bring that down more, bring both of these down. Cool that you can adjust these. Delete that to delete whatever you want inside the scene. Just highlight it inside your outliner and then you delete it and it disappears. Hit the delete key. Okay. There we go. Not bad. Yeah. Okay. So that's the ball bounce. But to do something really nice, let's add something else to it. I'm going to right click on the ball. I'm going to assign new material. Be a Lambert. And then instead of just changing the color, I am going to go to this checkerboard right here. This allows me to pick a different type of item on the different type of file, right? They're all different types of things that you could do here. Some of these are programmatic or procedural. I'm going to do a ramp. Okay. Turn my texture on. And instead of there being a uh, ramp, I'm actually going to make it a not to be a ramp at all. Ramp this right next to it. Do the white, which gives you this type of one side of the ball is black and one side of the ball is white. Kind of a yin and yang type. Then inside my channel box, I am going to do something kind of neat. So on frame 1, I'm going to go to my rotate Z. I'm going to key select. Then on my rotate, or on my frame 110, I am going to middle mouse, click the rotate Z, middle mouse drag it, negative. Probably went too far. Let's see what this looks like. Fine. Right, so if I play it, if I click off it and I just hit play, it starts rolling really slow, then it kind of figures out, right? Doesn't look too bad, but we need to change the rotation of it. Click my sphere, and this is the rotate. The same way with the translate that we did, we have to do the same thing with the rotation. So it needs to start off spinning at a constant rate and then teeter off like that, right? That looks like. Okay. And it slides a little bit at the end because it's not rotating enough or it's not moving enough. So what you could do, a couple of things. Go to the last one. Either nudge this back just a little bit, see if that actually helps. What I like to do is I like the ending of it or the beginning of it doesn't really matter as long as it's rotating. So it's telling me that at the end it's not rotating enough. Go to this, play it. Okay, so more. Oop, not there. Here, not. Much now. More. Still needs a little bit. And there's probably a calculation that you could do. I know there's a. There's a script that you can write that allows the ball for its translation. It'll rotate at a steady rate for however many units it moves over. It turns a certain section of the degrees it takes to do a 360. Based off of the radius and the diameter of that circle or that sphere. All right, take off the selection. It doesn't look too bad. Let me zoom out. Okay. Now we have our bouncing ball. There you go. Perfect. All right. And then if you want to play blast this, you just right click, you hit play blast, and you're able to play blast wherever you want. I would make sure that your angles are good. Off your grid here. Off your grid here. You get your textures on so you can see it. Right. Go. Boing. Boing. All right. So after watching this, I realized that the ground is a little too dark. So I'm going to change the color of it. I'm going to lighten it up just so it's not as goofy looking. I'm also going to change something like that. Yeah, there we go. That's the concept of using timeline to set your initial keys, but really doing most of your adjustment inside the graph editor. I mean, that's what the graph editor is there for. It allows you to adjust animations you want. And a good way to think about it is your Y translate kind of looks like a ball bounce. That's how you know you're going in the right track. You have going in and down, or if it's anything curved down here, the ball will be really wishy-washy and it won't really even hit the ground. It might go through the ground. All right, well, that's the ball bounce or generic ball bounce, how you can approach it utilizing keyframes inside your timeline and then adjusting everything inside your graph editor. Learning the graph editor is really important in character animation. It allows you to really put nuances into your animation. So if you like what you've seen, or if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification buttons, like or dislike, as you see fit. I'm really glad you joined me on this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day. Just remember, have fun.